So what I wanted to talk about today was 5 things that you can do that may help just kind of improve the ability to keep on top of your eating disorder and not let it kind of override things and get on top of you during stressful times, more specifically when you're at uni. Saying this because I'm currently at uni and I just thought it was pretty relevant to the situation. So obviously it's such a stressful time and you've got a lot of things going on, and ultimately you're there because you want to do a career in whatever you're studying or something that interests you. Even if it's not that, you're just there and you're trying to do your thing and trying to, do your thing in life. And so for me, it is such a pinnacle point, or it's been such a pinnacle point in my recovery, and things have come up both positively and negatively in regards to my eating disorder. I haven't really fully spoke about uni experience per se, but I can always do that in terms of how I dealt with it throughout my undergrad. Currently I'm doing my master's, so it's a little bit different, a bit more intense in terms of the time scale because it's only a year, and there's a lot to learn, and then that with juggling work as well as exercising and as well as coping with my eating disorder. Although I'm a lot more further on in my recovery than I was previously, it's still something that does affect me on a daily basis. Some days more than others, but I think it's important nevertheless to address the fact that it's still there, and the things that I do to or things that may help other people kind of just recognize things and recognize behaviors, and I guess keep on top of it and not let it override whatever you're trying to do. So number one, I say nothing. So number one, this is coming from the point of nutrition in regards to the nope. So point number one is meal prep. Now the reason why I say this is because it's been sort of like a saving grace to me, both financially as well as mental side of things, in regards to making sure that I am eating and making sure that I'm not just giving myself the opportunity to miss a meal, even if I'm hungry, because I know I'll go to lectures, I have lectures all day, and sort of the times between is when I can fit in my meals, and it's easy to not do that. So I find if I've prepped my food and I've got it all ready to go, I can just grab it in the morning and I can go and I've got it in my bag, and there's the incentive to sort of have it there and eat it essentially, rather than giving myself the opportunity to not bring anything and then just be like, oh, it's fine, I've only got X amount of hours left to do, which is not going to be very good for your brain, because you're going to be taking in a lot of information and you're going to feel tired and you're going to feel drained and you're not going to feel on top of the ball. And whilst we're on that subject, in terms of drinking water, I think it's super important. It keeps your brain sort of alive and awake. And I know there's this battle between over consuming water or water loading, as they say, but nevertheless I think it's so important to get your water intake in. So don't use it as a substitute, use it in combination with your meals, and just this way you can sort of, like I said, even if it's not for when you're out, it's when you get back home and you can't be bothered to cook dinner in the evening, you have something to eat. And that's ultimately what we're trying to achieve in terms of making sure that that is a consistent thing in life, and that we're not giving ourselves excuses. As much as as much as we may not be aware that we're doing that, it's a dangerous behavior that can become a habit. So that is point number one. Point number two is to do with writing things down. So in this, I mean that if you're feeling like you're not having a very good day, or if you feel like you're having a low point in the day, or if you feel like you're going to fall off the wagon, or if you're kind of recognizing a behavior that sort of come into your head that kind of links with your eating disorder, I think it's so important to sort of write that bit down, even if it's on your phone, in a notebook. I think it's important to write down whether it be your feeling that you're feeling at that moment in time, the regularity of this behavior and how much it's coming up, and then something that we can do about it. I think the more you're aware of what you're doing, the more likely that we can sort of, I guess, recognize it and change. I think that's the most important thing, is recognizing that behavior isn't good and what we can do about that. So even if you write it down in the day, and then when you come into the evening, when you have a little time off, you can just analyze how you felt in that day and say, okay, what can I do to change that? Right, I'm going to do this. Say, for example, like giving into point 1, if you haven't run your lunch or you decide to skip it, but then you're like, why is my brain telling me to do that sort of thing? Write it down, and then you can say, okay, I'm going to try and do this, and then hopefully it's going to inflict on other behaviours and kind of getting to a better pattern or a more positive pattern and way of thinking. So I think writing things down is so important in how you're feeling, to acknowledge the fact that you're not feeling okay. And even on the days that you are feeling really good, I think it's important to keep that track and say, okay, I've had more positive days this week than I've had negative, or vice versa, and ways in which we can look to improve that. And I think the more into your recovery that you get, or I guess it's not the case the more you get into it, I think it's where kind of your brain's sort of changing and your mindset's changing, and other things take priority, shall we say. I think you have more clarity in how you can change that and what you don't want to go back to. So I think writing things down is super important. Number 3 is take a break. I think it's so easy to get consumed or caught up in what you're doing and your work and trying to get things all done at the same time, or try and do as much as you can and tire yourself out and burn yourself out, and that is not healthy for anyone. I know I've done it whereby I've done hours back to back of work, and they have been less effective than kind of breaking up my days. And I think it's so important to give your brain a break from like life a little bit. And that's where, for me, that's when I go to the gym, or I'll say if it's on my rest days or whatever I'm doing, I'll go for a walk, or I'll watch something on TV to give myself that time off. And I think that's so important, to just sort of shut off from what you're doing for half an hour, even if it's 5-10 minutes. I think you need that break to allow yourself to kind of regain that self okayness and not feel so stressed, because I think obviously with more stress, it can tend to be the case that you're less likely to eat, or you're more likely, to step into bad habits. And I think for me, sometimes what I find really helpful is that I'll go to a coffee shop in the morning, for example, I'll do some work, and then when I'm starting to feel a little bit lethargic or something, I'll say, okay, I'm going to have my break, so I'm going to go to the gym for an hour. I'll plan out the day, go to the gym for an hour or so, and then I'll come back, have a shower, spruce up or whatever, and then I'll get back to my work. And for me, the gym has always been like a brain break for me, because I don't really think about anything when I'm at the gym, which is good. But I think utilising it in obviously a positive way is going to help you. Which sort of leads on to number 4, is that don't burn yourself out with exercise. As much as I'm promoting my goal, so to speak, is to reintroduce exercise in a healthy way for people who have suffered with anorexia specifically, I think you've got to, again, catching behaviours that aren't very good. And that's again when number 2 comes into play, when you're sort of writing down when you're not feeling okay, so you're not overdoing it. Don't burn yourself out and prioritise the gym over everything. You're trying to do something that you really enjoy, or you want as a career, or whatever it is, and to focus solely on stressing yourself out and wanting to go do exercise but not doing it in a positive way, I think that's going to inflict your behaviours even more. So I think go and just have a session, but don't try and push it too hard. Like, you have them days where you just need to chill out and just do your thing. And so important that you just recognise that those behaviours aren't being negatively influential. Okay, number 5, get a good song on. Like, I can't tell you how many times this has helped my mood severely. And by help, if you want something to help your mood, my song at the moment personally is Who Let the Dogs Out. I can't remember who sings it, but we all know it, and let me tell you, did absolute wonders for me. So don't go to your sad playlist, don't if you're not feeling good, do not exacerbate that more with a sad song. Look, now and again, everyone loves a sad song, get into it, feel the feels, you know, good all round. But it's very easy to go the opposite way and listen to sad music. And I think when you're in that space, it's not going to do you any good. So whack on a good song, get it on, put it on shuffle, hear a new song, positive one preferably, but really kind of turn the day around. Like, you don't have to wait to the next day to like do that. Like, I think you need to recognize that that behavior is not good, so you gotta turn it around. Like, turn the day around and do your thing, because you're only going to hinder yourself in the long run. And I think obviously we all have them days where you just need to do that, and it's okay, but do not dwell on it. And I think that's sort of another point, is that allow yourself to sort of feel how you're feeling and don't dismiss it, because it's so easy to like then ignore important points or important feelings within that time, and you're just dismissing them and not really dealing with them. And I think I'm sort of probably the worst advocate for this, or the best or worst, I don't know, but I do it a lot, and it sort of comes to a head, and it just is not a good sight. Like, it's not pretty. But I think allow yourself to feel them feelings, because it's going to get stressful. Life's stressful. You're going to have good, bad times, terrible times, awkward times, funny times, every time. So I think allowing yourself to feel those emotions and feel those feelings is completely fine. But the most important thing is that you don't go to bed in a negative space. I think give yourself something positive to go to sleep on, and start the day afresh. Because I don't know if it's the things, but like, I feel like if I go to bed sad or feeling a certain way, like a negative way, that I'll wake up and the next day will just not be that great. And I think giving yourself a pat on the back is super important, and I think we all need to do that now and again, and make sure that we are giving ourselves credit for what we do, giving ourselves a break. Like, that is, self-care is the most important thing. And I think we forget about that a lot, and we chase things and we chase things, and actually you kind of get into that space where like either you're not even excited about what you're chasing anymore, or you're feeling more negative about something than positive. So I think really try and listen to like that emotion, but don't let it override everything that you're working towards and everything that you want to achieve, because you've got all the power, you hold all the cards to like what you want to do. And I think you deserve them. You deserve to do what you want to do, like in terms of your career and in terms of like your life ambitions. So go to bed positive, and say, look, even if it's just one positive thing you say before you go to bed, write down before you go to bed. Think about, set yourself a goal for the next day, for the next week, for the next year, whatever you want to do it on a positive note before you go to bed. And hopefully this will just help out a little bit. Now, probably wasn't the best video, I apologise, but like I said, it's a take-home message of looking after the mental side of things, and physically you'll feel the benefit too. If you're looking after your mind, your body will follow. And that's the cheesiest thing I think I've ever said, but it's very true. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in another one. Thank you so much for watching, and like and subscribe if you would like to, I guess, be on this journey too, and watch me just make a dish of myself. So thank you. All right, bye. I'm not doing that outro, I'm not doing it. I don't know what to do, so I'm just gonna sit here.